Ideas are everywhere. Everyone has a bunch of them, and some of them succeed and some of them do not. Do you want yours to be in the first category? Then you're in the right place. Hello and welcome. I am Mariya Breyter, and for many years I've been fascinated by the topic of goal setting. With over 20 years of IT experience, from successful startups to Fortune 100 companies, in almost every possible role, from a Java developer to a business analyst and a delivery manager for multi-million digital platforms, and most recently, enterprise transformation leader, I have noticed that there are two major drivers that make a company a remarkable success or a continuous failure. The first one is its ability to set business goals that are relevant, achievable, and market appropriate. The second one is the ability to develop an operating model that supports these goals. So this is what this presentation is about. It summarizes my 20 years of experience, all the exciting successes and painful failures, into a simple and compelling framework of setting objectives and key results. And the example for us to use is the area that matters most. And it's not your product delivery. It's not even your executive team. It's a business construct called DevOps. Hence our topic for today, achieving hypergrowth with DevOps OKRs. OKRs are a very popular concept nowadays. As an Agile, Lean, and OKR consultant, I've heard opinions that OKR is a buzzword for KPIs, or even for management by objective, or MBOs, that were described by Peter Drucker in his 1954 book, The Practice of Management. Just think of it, 1954. Management by objective was the process of defining specific objectives within any organization. Those objectives management can convey to organization members. Then, managers will decide who and how will be responsible for achieving each objective in sequence. A very important part of MBOs is the measurement and comparison of an employee's active performance with the standards that managers set for them. So MBOs invite employees to participate in the process by coordinating with their managers, and managers in their turn set each individual's major areas of responsibility. And they use measurements as a guide in assessing their individual performance. Well, I have news for those of you who think that OKRs are a new look at management by objective. OKRs are as far from MBOs as Agile mindset from waterfall project management. MBOs are about top-down management. OKRs are about self-organization. MBOs are about individuals, and OKRs are about high-performing teams. MBOs are about performance and individual performance, and OKRs are all about outcomes. MBOs were a tool that worked over 50 years ago, and OKRs work today. So you may ask at this point, how do OKRs work if no one tells employees what to do and how to assess how they do it? And the answer is very simple. In my opinion, the answer why OKRs work is because they're about motivation, people setting objectives that they're passionate about. It's about collaboration. People who have similar passion collaborate to achieve results. And they're about innovation, because no one tells them how to do things and how to achieve the results they choose. And of course, they're measurable. Many of you might have read an excellent book on OKRs by John Doerr, Manage What Matters. OKRs are aligned across the organization in such a way that everyone has a chance to contribute to a greater good. And most importantly, they are fun, since OKRs allow us to combine our professional passion with an opportunity to drive positive changes that matter. And this is why I'm here. I believe that OKRs allow us to fulfill our passion in the most meaningful way. As the Cheshire Cat said in Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know where you're going, you will never get there. And then Cheshire Cat said that the White Rabbit went there. With that, we want to be aligned exactly here. We know where we're going, and we want to understand how we get there together. Our professional happiness comes from the intersection of what we're passionate about, what we're good at, and what the world, our customers, our business, our colleagues need. So OKRs help us define this intersection and align on the ways how we contribute to getting there. For me, one of the primary areas where OKRs are extremely important and not yet discovered is DevOps. So let's dive right in. In this presentation, we are going to talk about DevOps OKR strategies. So first, let me set the record straight. Our topic is OKRs with a focus on one of the most complex and understudied areas of business delivery. And I say business on purpose because DevOps are still seen by many as a technical area, and nothing can be further from reality. Traditionally, there was a backlog of features, backlog of tech debt, and a backlog of operational work. Instead now, there is a single backlog because so-called non-functional requirements are actually features. Here is an example. Reducing technical debt improves stability of the product, which is a crucial business requirement. DevOps practices are part of DNA of every organization that aspires to achieve high performance. Having that said, I want to be very clear what this presentation is not. If you want to organize your delivery workflow to serve business needs, then the Phoenix Project is your best source. If you want to learn more about continuous delivery, refer to Jez Humble's book, Continuous Delivery, Reliable Software Releases Through Build, Test, and Deployment Automation. For DevOps metrics, I suggest my favorite book, Accelerate, Building and Scaling High-Performing Technology Organizations by Nicole Forsgren, Jez Humble, and Jin Kim. This presentation is unique because it maps business objectives to the key results driven by DevOps practices, and it shows a collaborative and motivational way of aligning those across the organization with a focus on people and teams. These practices drive profitability, productivity, and market share. These practices also remove the dilemma of the need to choose between speed and stability, since doing DevOps practices drive both at the same time. So let's start with step one of this process, which is OKR setting. What are OKRs? My favorite definition of OKRs is a goal-setting framework for thinking big. It comes from September 2018 publication in CIO magazine. OKRs overall were created as a goal-setting framework that helps organizations and individuals within those organizations define their goals and objectives and then track the outcomes. So it's very important that the goal is not individual performance. Instead, the sole goal of OKRs is aligning on objectives that matter, learning from the experience and pivoting through execution based on this learning. As a concept, OKRs have been around since the 1970s. This concept was invented by Andy Grove at Intel. Andy Grove used to say, leaders have to act more quickly today. The pressure comes much faster. OKRs fueled Intel's ability to respond fast to market needs by aligning on a jointly set objectives. The concept was then made popular by John Doerr, who was one of the earliest investors in Google. OKRs quickly became an important focus for Google and multiple other companies, such as LinkedIn, Twitter, Dropbox, Spotify, Airbnb, and Uber. We can read about their remarkable case studies in John Doerr's book, Measure What Matters. But this is not what this presentation is about. My goal is to give you a framework for OKR setting and show practical examples how implement this in the area that matters most, DevOps. Now about DevOps. DevOps is one of the key modern practices that are being used to accelerate end-to-end delivery. But large companies usually face many challenges to scale DevOps culture. Jez Humble defined DevOps as a cross-disciplinary community of practice dedicated to the study of building, evolving, and operating rapidly changing resilient systems at scale. So for me, DevOps is a culture as much as it is a practice, and OKRs serve as a fuel in removing barriers between functions. I developed this framework that I'm about to share with you, leading agile delivery and change management initiatives in 9 companies. So I will be sharing practices that worked for us well and those that failed miserably. Let's start with the OKR setting framework. As you can see, there are 4 components within this framework. You can start with either one, but you will have to align it with other 3 in a cascading, multi-directional way: top-down, bottom-up, and front-to-back. We will start with the organizational aspect of it. So, organizational alignment. At this level, objectives have to be compelling. They have to be realistic, but hard to achieve. While objectives are inspirational and aligned with company vision, the key results follow SMART format: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. These are some examples of objectives. Achieve customer satisfaction through the exceptional quality of our applications. Or deploy new features to our customers on a daily basis. Or achieve data consistency across the enterprise. All those are examples of objectives that can be achieved via measurable activities, such as delivery as a service platform, smart rollbacks, continuous verification, test automation, targeted deployment strategies, live notifications, and all other aspects of DevOps automation. You may argue, why are those enterprise-level goals are not specific to DevOps teams? The answer is this is actually a business goal. If your applications are not secure, if customer data is not safe with you, no one would want to buy your product. Similarly, to build this functionality, you need to hire people with specific skills and tooling experience, so your hiring team needs to be part of this effort. Your developers need to be on board to add visual pipeline design, test automation, and deployment skills to their skill set and to their daily responsibilities. Business and operational objectives go hand in hand with execution efficiency and architectural agility. In order to be successful, you have to have metrics, alerting, and drill-down capabilities to avoid having downtime, losing your data, and cripple your applications as a result of it. You need to be able to handle unexpected changes automatically. You need joint ownership of SLAs for availability, quality, privacy. As you can see, DevOps OKRs are not owned by DevOps. They are owned by the whole company. Recently, I achieved my Scaled Agile Framework certification in DevOps. This certification is a helpful mechanism of framing organizational DevOps as a company-level objective. It's seen as a business imperative, from elaborate to release, to making organizations more agile in responding to digital disruption. Scaled Agile Framework is doing a great job in reiterating that DevOps and release-on-demand practices play a key role in ensuring greater enterprise agility and helping overcome traditional misalignments across the whole value stream. A key concept about enterprise DevOps to remember is that DevOps at enterprise level are not optimized for cost. They should be optimized for speed. This is achieved by moving to outcome-based team structures, understanding your value streams, defining cycle time, and optimizing for fast and high-quality delivery. In Accelerate, the authors did an extensive research to find out the difference between high-performing and low-performing organizations. And they found out that when compared to low performers, high performers have the following: 46% more frequent code deployments, 440 times faster lead time from commit to deploy, 170 times faster mean time to recover from downtime, and 5 times lower change failure rate. They advocate against using traditional metrics, such as lines of code, velocity, as productivity, and utilization. By now, I do not have to convince you that lines of code is a vanity metric that does not inform maintainability or quality of code. Velocity, though, as new agile way of measuring productivity, is designed to be used as a capacity planning tool. For example, it can be used for extrapolating how long it will take a team to complete all the work that has been planned and estimated. It should not be used as a way to measure team productivity or to compare teams. Using velocity as a productivity metric has multiple flaws. It's relative and team dependent. Second, it can be easily gamed by inflating your estimates. And then finally, some organizations measure utilization as a proxy for productivity. There is a problem with this method because high utilization is only good up to a point. Once utilization gets above a certain level, there is no spare capacity to absorb unplanned work, changes to the plan, or improvement work. This results in longer lead times to complete the work. Q theory tells us that as utilization approaches 100%, lead time approaches infinity. In other words, once you get to very high level of utilization, it takes team exponentially longer to get anything done. Think traffic jam. As a result, the metrics that drives results is the software delivery performance metrics. It's lead time, deployment frequency, mean time to restore, change fail percentage. In the context of lean, the latter is the percentage of changes that result in degraded service or subsequently require remediation, such as outage or require a hotfix, a rollback, a fix forward, or a patch. These are all meaningful key results for DevOps. The next level is program level delivery. Product level value stream is a lean term designating a series of events that take a product or service from its beginning through to the customer, with reduced waste and accelerated value. This is where the role of DevOps is hard to overstate. Traditional non-functional requirements, so-called ELITs, scalability, availability, reliability, recoverability, maintainability, usability, security, other system-level expectations, make or break your business. If a specific feature is not available to the user, you can add it to the roadmap and inform the users that it will be available shortly. But if your system is not secure, the sense of urgency is different. And yet, many product managers value functionality over non-functional objectives. Here an example. For Agile practitioners, using Jira to manage our work and working in a scaled multi-team environment, we managed to work many years without portfolio functionality, which was extremely useful but secondary to the tool's ability to manage work, create Scrum and Kanban boards, define dependencies, and provide live dashboards. However, if the tool was not secure, I doubt any of its users would stay on this tool while patiently waiting until security issues get resolved. I have coached multiple companies who understand the value of non-functional objectives. By the way, I do not like the word non-functional because for me it's all about the business function. They would set objectives such as user trusts the system, even after using it for a long time. So as key results, you would have reliability, such as long mean time between failures, or key results that data created in the system being retained for a number of years, sometimes indefinitely. So your key results would be related to monitoring system performance and related notifications. Again, this is not an objective just for your DevOps team. This is an objective where a marketing team is informed because they use this information in their marketing campaigns to promote reliability and safety of your products. Customer support team utilizes this information in their troubleshooting scenarios and in their customer response scripts. Your training team provides relevant training. Finance team allocates budget and ensures it is cost effective to maintain, and so forth. So it's a program-wide responsibility throughout all functions to ensure quality, reliability, performance, usability, supportability of your product. The next level is delivery team level. When you operate in an agile environment, or maybe not, majority of larger enterprises, and even many small ones, are still organized in a matrix model. Spotify's model of tribes, programs, consisting of squads, teams, while team members are collaborating at their chapter, which is competency, and guild, community of practice level. This is all a great example of a matrixed organization. While teams align against organizational objectives, individual team members have a chance to grow their professional skills within their chapters and follow their passion by joining their guild of choice. So we're all part of the team, and in fact, we're part of multiple teams. When we talk about qualities of an excellent team player, we usually mention being flexible, reliable, supportive, and respectful. We all want to be great team players. We don't want to let down the team. We've been taught since we were tiny children that being a team player is the only way to be. So too many managers use fear as a weapon, resulting in threats like, "You're letting down the team." OKRs provide an opportunity, in this case, to define teamwork from a positive angle. Team-level OKRs mean joint accountability to a larger goal, which is defined and embraced by the team members themselves. This aligns well with Google's Project Aristotle. In 2012, Google embarked on a research, what makes a great team? They codenamed it Project Aristotle, which is a tribute to Aristotle's quote, "The whole is greater than sum of its parts." Since Google researchers believe employees can do more working together than alone. So their goal was to answer the question, what makes a team effective? Organizational charts only tell part of the story. So the Google research team focused on groups with truly interdependent working relationships, as determined by those teams themselves. Executives were most concerned with results, such as sales numbers or product launches, but team members said that team culture, actually, was the most important measure of team effectiveness. The research found that what really matters was less about who was on the team, how skilled they were, and more about how the team worked together towards their shared objectives. The 5 parameters they found were: 1, psychological safety, being comfortable telling each other how they feel; dependability on each other; 3rd, structure and clarity; 4th, meaning; and 5, impact. So as you can see, 3, 4, and 5 are directly relevant to OKRs, which provide structure and clarity against joint objectives, ability for the team to self-organize, to set key results for their own work, and positive impact, their ability to make a difference. From DevOps perspective, this could not be more relevant. DevOps is not a job, it's a culture. DevOps, from Agile delivery perspective, is a set of activities performed by an Agile team to complement and automate various activities in the development lifecycle. Code, build, test, package, release, configure, monitor. These tasks can be shared amongst the team. DevOps is a culture that an organization builds into its working. Integrating DevOps is a collective responsibility. DevOps culture gives teams an opportunity to deploy software more efficiently and effectively so that the business can respond to changing customer needs and competitive pressure faster than ever before. So having that said, adopting DevOps model at a team level isn't always easy. It requires a shift from traditionally siloed teams into collaboration, shared objectives, and continuous learning. All strong teams have one thing in common. Every team member shares the same goal. When it comes to DevOps, the goal is to rapidly deliver stable, high-quality software from concept to delivery. If IT and business align around a shared goal and the teams are on board, then everyone is working towards the same objectives. There is less resistance and better and faster business results at the team level. Now, individual OKRs. In OKR coaching space, there is a lot of opinions against individual OKRs. The goal of OKRs is alignment. So having personal OKRs is counterintuitive. How can an individual align with themselves? I agree, personal OKRs are misleading. If a person's objective does not align with their team, program, or company, they may be in the wrong place. For example, Spotify decided to ditch their employee OKRs. They felt that individual OKRs slowed them down without adding any value. They felt that the objectives that made most sense on the individual level did not really change the direction of the common priorities. They also felt that individual objectives were primarily about how they want to concentrate, not on why. I'm with Spotify. I do not believe in personal OKRs, especially in Agile environment, where value is delivered at team level. However, I strongly believe in individual OKRs. Each of us has different passions and professional aspirations, so having an ability to contribute to things that matter to us individually, even if they are not seen as a company's highest priority at this point, is very important. Think Atlassian and FedEx Days, 24-hour innovation immersion events that enabled employees to brainstorm, prototype, and pitch their emerging motivations. Think Google's 80-20 innovation model. It is important to allow for flexibility in OKR setting, all the way bottom up, so that employees have a chance to define why, not just the how, bring their business to the next level. From DevOps perspective, I've seen great example of building application analytics, IT teams working with product teams and customer support, and taking it forward to performance analysis, security, audit tools, distributing generated logs with samples, summarize data without waiting until enterprise, great tool, with this capability would become available. So if you allow time and place for individual OKRs, your employees might surprise you beyond expectations in finding new tools, building new capabilities. So please do not ignore this opportunity for goal settings. So these are all things that we want to bring in place. What are some of the anti-patterns that will make your OKR setting processes useless and even maybe damaging? So let's look at some of those. At organizational level, you need to know your business. So if you have major data inconsistencies at enterprise level, you cannot commit to achieving full data consistency. Data's even twins, inconsistent definitions, and duplicates are really hard to avoid at scale. At the same time, without BI and analytical data, the companies are running the business blind. Also, with bad data, the organizations cannot respond nimbly to changing business conditions because they don't realize that these conditions are changing. So establishing a common set of data parameters that your organization follows seems like it should be simple, but the truth is that every group needs their own view of the data. Consider a simple concept like total monthly sales. If I'm speaking from a sales group perspective, I'm referring to all the business my sales organization closed in the time period I'm reporting for. If, on the other hand, I'm asking the group controller, his definition is going to reflect all closed business that has been booked to the ledger. Another common flaw is top-down OKR assignment. Those never work because the whole purpose of OKRs as a mechanism of self-organization is violated. DevOps is all about breaking silos in organizations. It's not enough that one group does the work of designing a product or a service and the other puts it to use. They need to collaborate to understand how each side approaches the opportunities and the challenges that are presented by the business. Finally, impossible to achieve OKRs make OKRs meaningless. If the objectives are not realistic, for example, if your system's availability is currently 3 nines, then setting an objective to achieve 6 nines may not be realistic and may affect how it is measured and reported. Similarly, at program level, OKRs may be set up for each product instead of aligning with organizational OKRs in a cascading way. I've seen an organization focusing on operational efficiencies, while product divisions were focusing on deploying new functionality on a daily basis. I've seen product teams making their own decisions to use alternative technologies to implement different parts of their systems. While it's great to be independent, don't get me wrong, they miss on monitoring and support. There are multiple advantages to standardizing your tech stack across the team as much as possible, just as using a single operating system and a single cloud infrastructure vendor provides a lot of leverage. So economies of scale are real. Ignoring them in a corporate context can be a form of waste. We had a huge debate about reusing microservices at program level between multiple products. Does this level of reuse violate the concept of a microservice? In case of reuse, how do you handle product level dependencies? All those problems are relevant at the team level as well. How do you align team-level DevOps OKRs with the program? Do you aim at sharing microservices between products? It's common knowledge that you want to avoid coupling between applications, but how do you avoid sharing libraries when you design deployment environments so that you can upgrade your environments independently from each other? Allow teams to configure and own their low environments. Experiment with tooling, as long as there is governance and monitoring in place. It's very important. Individual level DevOps. It's all about cultivating different perspectives and reconciling them, much like you do when you're gathering and refining ideas. The worst thing you can do is link it to employee compensation and promotions. The second worst thing is to ignore the aspirations. The most important component is overcoming the latter by innovating. In fact, you'll likely find that reconciling innovation processes is often part of building a better DevOps approach. One of the oldest gags in innovation is somebody building a brilliant ship, a plane, or other vehicle, and then discovering they can't use it because it won't fit through the door. So an opportunity for individuals discussing innovation strategy ensures the doors are wide open for your DevOps model to become usable. So once OKRs are set, we need to ensure quality and align on key results across the whole organizations. There are two steps to it. First, you want to ensure quality of your OKRs. A good way of thinking about metrics relevant to DevOps are 24 key capabilities that drive improvements in software delivery performance, as defined in Accelerate. They are divided into 5 categories. First one is continuous delivery. This includes version control, deployment automation, continuous integration, trunk-based development, test automation, test data management, shift left on security, and overall continuous delivery practices. Architecture. Loosely coupled architecture, such as use of microservices. Another great example is containerization. Containers offer a logical packaging mechanism in which applications can be abstracted from the environments in which they actually run. So this level of decoupling allows container-based applications to be deployed easily and consistently, regardless of whether the target environment is a private data center, the public cloud, or even a developer's personal laptop. Next category is product and process. That's also part of DevOps, value stream optimization, working in small batches, short feedback loops, limiting work in process. Next level is lean management and monitoring, which is application monitoring, proactive notifications. And finally, it's culture, team empowerment, learning organizations, collaboration, job satisfaction. So these are general OKR good practices. Let's review a few examples. And as we go through examples of actual OKRs, try to follow me and think which ones are good and which ones need to change, and why. John Doerr suggests that we use the following template while setting OKRs. I will, objective, as measured by, and then set of key results. So as the name implies, there are two components, objectives and key results. As Marissa Mayer, former Google's vice president, said, if it does not have a number, it's not a key result. Objectives should be simple, aspirational, and easy to relate with and to memorize. Key results should be 2 to 5, not too many, specific and measurable. Felipe Castro, one of leading consultants in OKR field, made a great observation that if you have to stop to breathe while reading your objective, you are doing it wrong. So here is the first example we want to look at. Objective. We will achieve market leadership for GitLab by key result 1, growing use of GitLab for all stages of DevOps lifecycle by 10% by establishing 3 proven case studies. That's objective for key result for product. Key result number 2, ensuring appropriate transactional business pricing. That's for sales. Key result number 3, launching advertising for the customer base for manage, plan, create, and increase overall pipeline coverage by 8%, marketing. So think, is it a good or not so good one? I'm giving you a second. Yes, this is a pretty good objective. This is an actual objective set by GitLab. Let's take a look at another one. Objective, increase efficiency of QA processes. Key result 1, test cases for all priority 1 and 2 stories are completed and handed over to dev before development starts. Compliance to be measured every sprint. Key result 2, 1 week before release date, no blocker and critical bugs should be open. Bug leakage to production for critical issues is less than 1%. Key result 3. Less than 3 bugs reported by end users per release. So what about this one? Not so good. It's all about processes, not about outcomes. Objective is related to efficiency, and key results address quality. Let's try one more. Objective. We will deliver working software to the customer every sprint with high quality by. Key result 1. Delivering to production every sprint. No single release is more than 1 day late. Key result 2. Achieving over 80% regression test automation. Key result 3. Increasing unit test coverage to 75% from current 45%. Key result 4. Implementing a continuous monitoring tool to ensure 6 nines uptime for lower environments. Key result 5. Enabling engineers manage lower environments within required SLAs. What about this one? Again, not so good. The objective is process-oriented. It's not inspirational and does not contain a clear outcome. Monitoring tool-related key result is not relevant to the stated objective. Neither is availability or the self-support one. Let's look at the final example. Here is the objective. We will achieve a higher operational availability and lower operational costs as measured by. Key result 1. 0 DevOps owned services in a data center. Move everything to AWS. Key result 2. 10% reduction in AWS operational cost. Key result 3. 0 single point of failure. What about this one? This one is simple but clear, and the key results are relevant. So let's view the example how OKRs cascade across the organization. I made up this example to show how a DevOps objective is shared by the whole company. IT organization, your data management team, human resources, and your agile practice. As you can see, each key result calls for alignment between multiple functions. Once we aligned, we need to refine OKRs by splitting them into quarterly data and assigning grades from 0 to 1 so that we can self-assess progress against those. OKRs are useless if they are set once and forgotten. Actually, there is more value in the alignment discussions and related solutions than in OKRs per se. Once OKRs are set and cascading is done, teams engage in OKR mapping, similar to user story mapping in Agile. They want to decompose each key result as an epic by drilling down and discussing tactics of achieving each key result. Let us say we want to achieve more frequent delivery of functionality to the customer. So what do we need for them? Deployment tooling, related training. Do we need to enable teams to manage lower environments? Many even perform production deployments. What are the architectural solutions required to make it possible? How do we achieve faster regression testing? How do we optimize team composition to achieve that? A lot of analysis. Team perform OKR mapping, sequencing key results on a quarterly basis. Once this is done, they do something called pre-grading. Pre-grading is like acceptance criteria for your user stories. If there is no pre-grading, results are ambiguous and frequently lead to misunderstanding and conflict. If we adopt Google's scoring mechanism from 0 to 1, with 1 being realistic but super ambitious and almost impossible, and 0.7 being the desired result, we want to suggest pre-grades. What's a 0? What's a 1? What's 0.3, 0.5? What's 0.7? It is important that once teams reach 0.7, there is no need for them to go further. 0.7 is the desired result. The rest is gold plating. If a team is consistently achieving 1, it means their goals are not ambitious enough. If they're killing themselves and working at unsustainable pace, it is a job of an OKR coach to advise them that this is the opposite effect that OKRs are actually set for. On your screen, you have a template for quarterly OKR setting and pre-grading, which is then used for quarterly OKR reviews. OKRs are reviewed by the team that set them up, not by their managers. And next quarter OKRs are adjusted based on the outcomes. Remember, OKRs are all about outcomes. They're not about processes or activities. Setting up a process is not a good key result. We want to measure the objective, why this process has been set up. Grading is seen as a prompt to conversation, not a punishment or a measure of performance. The worst OKRs are the ones that are ambiguous. For example, achieve significant increase in performance, empower the teams to deliver applications to customers, implement new pricing strategy. You will never know whether you achieved them or not. So here is an example of how a company-wide objective translates into a DevOps objective. The company objective is respond to market needs by delivering new functionality to global customers daily. There are multiple groups participating in this OKR: product development, marketing, sales, but DevOps are playing the key role. DevOps were presented with a challenge to accomplish this goal without any extra costs. Hence, their objective is to enable daily production deployments to global customers with high quality at no additional expense. This objective has 3 key results shown above. To achieve these results, there is incremental work planned by DevOps team for each quarter. In Q1, the goal is for architecture to achieve testability and deployability. To achieve these characteristics, design systems have to be loosely coupled, that is, can be changed and validated independently of each other. According to 2017 DevOps survey, this factor is the biggest contributor to continuous delivery. In our case, there are 2 key results. First, perform 80% of application testing without requiring an integrated environment. Second, deploy the application independently from other services applications it depends on. Each of these results has a pre-graded result so that there is no ambiguity whether the intended result has been achieved. Please notice that not only 0 and 1 are defined, but also grades between them. In Q2, the attention is on the delivery teams. We have to ensure that all delivery teams are cross-functional, with all the skills necessary to design, develop, test, deploy, and operate the system on the same team. This has been referred to as Conway Law, named after Melvin Conway, who introduced the idea in 1967. It stated that organizations which design systems are constrained to produce designs which are copies of the communication structures of those organizations. So if we want loosely coupled systems, we need to achieve organizational independence at team level. Over here, there are 2 key results listed. Each of them is also pre-graded. In Q3 and Q4, DevOps are building on the prior 2 quarterly objectives to ensure proper deployment tools and related skills on the teams. And then in Q4, they implement behavior-driven development and test-first approach for all the regression testing to increase application quality. So as you can see, there are multiple ways of achieving each objective depending on organizational needs and their pain points. It is important that the goal setting and grading process happens at cadence. OKRs are set, aligned, reviewed, refined, graded, and adjusted on a cadence. So think here Scrum cadence. This is very similar. In mature OKR implementations, your annual OKR calendar is set up in September, October for the full year ahead. It includes OKR settings as well as quarterly OKR reviews. Any additional reviews that can happen as frequently as monthly are set by teams based on their working agreements. The annual cycle usually starts in November, when enterprise OKRs reflecting company's mission and vision are announced in a large venue, such as town hall or company-wide communication. Then divisional and team-level OKRs are set, aligned and pre-graded in November, December, with the next set of OKRs being kicked off in the end of December, early January. At this time, I encourage a cascading OKR retrospective to ensure that teams are empowered, the process is inclusive, and every opinion matters. It is important to find the right balance between enterprise-level OKRs and team-level and individual OKRs. That allows for innovation and professional development. So the overall approach to OKRs is rinse and repeat. Or similar to Lean Startup, pivot, If OKRs does not bring the expected result, or try to other ways of achieving strategic objectives, or persevere and enhance the practice that brings desired result to the enterprise. So for DevOps, this measured trial and error approach is the key to the strategic impact this area has on almost each aspect of the company business. So these are DevOps OKRs in a nutshell. I hope that for those of you who are involved in strategic goal setting, this was something new, inspirational, and thought-provoking that you can bring back to your organizations. And for DevOps professionals, you got a new way of strategizing against multiple aspects of DevOps and a prioritization technique to divide and conquer all the improvements you are considering. So to recap today's presentation, we covered 3 topics today. And I'm making this pause allowing you to recap in your mind what it was. Let me review now. The 4 OKR setting steps that we reviewed in relationship to DevOps are: set OKRs, align, refine, and repeat. A simple recipe for your success. So now you're all well equipped to proceed with a new approach to building DevOps capabilities with OKRs, which I refer to as intentional DevOps. I'm sure you have a lot of ideas and questions on how to set up your DevOps strategy using OKRs. Feel free to reach out at any of the contact information provided on this slide, and I will be glad to share my experience in the area. I wish you all great success with your implementation of intentional DevOps. Thank you.